Good evening. This is Caitlin Glimmy with my demonstrated learning assignment number 4. I made a rubric to go with the book Firestorm. Firestorm is a book that we use with our ninth grade students by David Klass. It is a trilogy, part of a trilogy, and it focuses on, it's sort of this, it's not dystopian future, but it's a potential to be. So it's got this futuristic idea, it's got sort of this magic-y sort of idea, but its main focus or its main theme is actual conservation, environmental conservation. And so the neat thing about this book is it's very short sentenced, fast paced, and it's directed at young adults. So the information and the relationships are age appropriate, but it's also geared to keep their interest as well. So what I included here is the basic. I'm kind of setting up on what the students are given. When they finish reading the book, and we do plot maps for each section of the book, and we actually read it all together. So we'll do a plot map for the section we read and then try to predict what's going to happen next. And when we're done with the book, they are tasked to write a research paper. And so most of my students, being that they're incarcerated, have big gaps in their education and have not had to write a formal paper ever. So the process that I've taken on this paper is to scaffold it quite extensively and to really break down what they're supposed to be doing so that they can do every individual part and then come together and make a whole. So when we do this, it's your traditional 5-paragraph essay, and the topic is ocean conservation because that's what the first book focuses on. And so I gave them a list of potential topics to try to give them ideas because a lot of the time right away it's, well, I don't know. Some of them had their own ideas off the bat, others used off the list. And again, with my student population, technology is very, very limited, partly because of we can only use it during class time. Technology is not available outside of class, but also because of their behavior on the computer. Some of them are not appropriate in where they are searching what the websites are. So for this project, I selected 5 websites that were appropriate websites, like National Geographic being one of them, that had videos, multiple articles, pretty much any ocean conservation thing you wanted to find, you could find on these five websites. And then they would only need to use 3 of the 5. So they had time to wander around on these websites. I think we spent about a week on this, to pick through and decide what they want to read and what topic they want to do. So then they had to share their topic with me. Then they had to do a crap check for each of their articles, and I'll show you what a crap check is in a little bit. Then they had to write their introduction paragraph, they had to write a thesis, and then they used the Melcoms to write their body paragraphs. That was, I think I skipped that here, it's somewhere in here. And then they had to write their conclusion paragraph. And they had to go through each of their articles. They had to pick 3 articles out of those websites and highlight the sections they wanted to use. And they had to learn how to either paraphrase or quote. So they had to do both for each body paragraph. And then because our high school uses the MLA format, so they had to cite and quote everything using MLA guidelines. Once they were done, all of their pieces came together to be a rough draft, and then they got the computer back to type it all up. So after they'd finished their research and picked their articles, they did not have computer access until they were typing up the final project. So here's the crap check. It was developed by Molly Beestrom, and it basically means, is it current, is it reliable, is it authentic, and is it have the right purpose? Is it what you're actually trying to prove? And so I had them pick 5 articles and then do the crap check and then narrow it down to 3 articles with the best crap check response. And that really helped them figure out if this was a reliable source or not. Then we use this handout to help them write their introductory paragraph and give them information. We talked about how to do attention getters, use data facts, that sort of thing as well, or data points. Then we use this worksheet to create their thesis. And so we sat down and took time for each section of this paper to make sure they knew how to do each individual part. Because for a lot of them, they didn't know how to do any of this. They didn't know how to research. They didn't know how to check the reliability of the articles. They didn't know how to write thesis, any of it. The MELCON is probably my favorite thing we used, because the MELCON takes your topic sentence and the example evidence and the link. The example evidences were a statement of information, and then the link was either the paraphrase or the quote from their text. So they were able to, in each body paragraph, use up to 3 direct quotes or paraphrases to support their point. And then each body paragraph had a conclusion as well. And at the very end, they had this handout for how to write a concluding paragraph. And we made sure we tied back up to their thesis and that their thesis was supported and proven by the end of their paper. So, and if you haven't noticed, a lot of these are in different formats because I don't agree with recreating the wheel. I like to search and find useful and helpful ways to teach my students without having to remake it all myself. So that being said, this rubric was one I did find online, and then I adapted it and changed some of the parameters to better suit my students and their needs. So here's the rubric we're going to be using for Firestorm from now on. Up until here, I really just kind of winged my grading on this. I based it was a pretty subjective answer for me as far as, did they use their time wisely? Did they put effort into this research? Do they have all the necessary components? But it wasn't laid out like this, and I think this would really help me be less subjective and be more objective in their final outputs, which I think they would appreciate as well. So my old job working at Challenge Academy, we did rubrics for everything. And I kind of got rubric to death. And so I really haven't used them for quite a while. But this class, again, is making me stretch my boundaries a little bit and reminding me that they do have a place and they do have a use. And this paper is a great place to use a rubric. So thank you for suggesting or requiring this assignment, and I look forward to next week. Have a great night.